What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Progress on Purpose podcast. We are a community of people who seek to be intentional about how we think, behave, and speak towards an intended goal. We believe that what we say, think, and do governs our ability to make progress towards our goal and ultimately lead to success. So, in simple terms, it's the action of being intentional and making progress on purpose. If you are new here to the POP family, welcome. You are certainly not here by chance, but I believe that there is value in listening to this podcast. So after this episode, please leave an honest review and rate the show. And for our dedicated listeners, hey, we're back with another purpose-filled episode, and I am so happy to be back. Today starts a brand new season, and that season is called She's Intentional. So real quick, I need you to help us grow the community. Find someone, it could be a woman or it could be a man. Find someone that you want to share the show with, and hit that share button on your listening platform. Let us grow this community together. I also want to say a special thank you to each and every person who checked out the website, makeprogressonpurpose.com. I appreciate how you are supporting the show by purchasing merch. You're listening to the show, you're reading the blogs on the different episode topics, and so much more. My appreciation and my love goes out to you. Today, my friends, we are in for a treat. We're talking all about She's Intentional, right? That's this season. So I have lined up 10 to 12 amazingly bossy women who I have gathered to talk to us about their intentionality and the things that they are doing to make strides in their community, in their family, and in business. And today, I have the pleasure of speaking to my personal coach, the woman who has literally helped me take my ideas from paper to plan to execution. And so let me tell you a little bit about Audrey. Audrey Lesesne is also known on Instagram as the Mogul Mompreneur. And you can check her out, but let me tell you how I know her. I know her to be the African-American woman who is an e-commerce boss, okay? Not only has she made amazing impact in that space, but she didn't do it by herself. She brought her daughter along with her. I'm going to invite her to share a little bit more about that experience, but I promise you, you are in for a treat. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Audrey. Hey, Audrey, welcome to the Progress on Purpose podcast. I'm so happy to have you be a part of this community. I know that your impact, your influence is going to be monumental on this show because you have so much to give. You've already poured into me, and I know that you're going to continue to pour into everyone who's listening to the show. So I'm so excited, and I can't wait. But yeah, welcome. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for bringing me to the show.
No problem. Listen, I had to have you on here first because of the impact that you made in my life and how you have literally transformed my thinking. I said, oh, we got to start the season off right. Okay.
Right.
Yes. So I mentioned in the intro that you are big on not just e-commerce, but a bigger footprint, which is bringing your child along for this journey. And to me, and I'm sure to you, that speaks to legacy. So can we talk about that a little bit? What is legacy to you, and how has that word legacy influenced your movement in this space?
Yeah, great question. So for me, it really just embodies everything that I do. We tend to pass down bad traits, qualities, habits, even rituals and things. And so that, has become the norm in our society. But particularly in our community, we struggle with financial prosperity, financial wealth and independence, creating a name, creating value. in our generation, as well as, within the legacy. And so for me, I just wanted to focus on not just impacting my life, but also the life of my daughter and the children that she's going to birth, and so forth and so on. And so it all starts with me. I think that is the true commitment that I've made to myself, and I hold myself accountable to. You know better, do better, right? And so because I know better, because I'm in a position to have received such an abundant gift, I'd be remiss if I wasted it, if I didn't take the time or the energy to send that information to my daughters. So for me, it's all about making a change in the present, impacting my life for the better, but absolutely teaching, training, and instilling values and wealth into my daughter and the generations beyond her.
I love that answer, especially how you talked about creating value, because I think that's so important. We sometimes miss the opportunities to pass down that piece. Like we may teach our children, certain morals, and a lot of times we interchange moral and value to be um, to be the same, but I believe that they are different for very different reasons, right? You can be morally adept and still um, lack the value and the lesson in the value. And so I love how you talked about creating value as a way to um, give your child something that she can carry on into her lifestyle. And I love, 'cause if I could say her name, I love Morgan, and I know she's a sweet girl. And I know even just from knowing her, I can already see she's a different kid, like just based on what you've been able to create for her and instill in her. She's a different kid, and I look forward to what she will do. um, I want you to speak a little bit, because you talked about how you're committed to this journey. um, Speak a little bit about how you got started, even in the ecom space, and how your commitment to how you stayed, because the ecom world, as I understand it to be, is very like white male dominated. It's very, could be cutthroat. Sales in general could be cutthroat. So what gave you that push to stay in the race?
So, in order to answer that question, and we're not going to be on here all night and day, because you know me, I can breath you to death on the subject, but we have to start basically, from the beginning. How did I? What are some of the things that I went through that actually propelled me into ecom? And so, as may be the case with your listeners, you knew that you needed a side hustle, you needed some way to supplement your income. Maybe you were ambitious, you were desirous of creating a business, and we might have tried, or they may have tried, a bunch of different things. That was definitely my reality. I tried it all. Going online, researching businesses to start or side hustles, you get a plethora of ideas. And so I did it all. I did affiliate marketing. I tried building websites. I got into real estate. I was flipping houses. I was buying rentals. I was doing all sorts of things. And the one thing that stood out the most is I was not good at it. Okay. Affiliate marketing, not so much, but building a website, no, I was not here for that. Real estate was okay, but but being a woman, and generally, I was showing up to these projects, by myself. I felt like, okay, I'm gonna need to get a weapon. I'm gonna need some heat, right? But I'm a whole mom. I can't be out in these streets, with weapons and things. So I knew that I needed something else that was going to keep me safe, and B, sort of spoke more to my personality. And so I happened to one day get online, and I saw an ad. It was an ad for a Facebook ads training. It was called Facebook Ads Crack. And it was a training by Don Wilson, someone that I definitely respect in this industry. He is also the owner of Gear Bubble. And at the time, he was promoting this training. Facebook had just opened up its platform for advertising, and there was a company that had just opened as well called Teespring. And you guys may have heard of Teespring. It was revolutionary. It was the first in the industry, the first t-shirt company that allowed you to create single t-shirts called print on demand. Historically, if you wanted to launch a t-shirt business, you would have to go visit a local screen print company, and they would have their minimums. So you'd have to have 24 shirts of this size and all of that. And so there was definitely going to be an upfront investment that you had to make, and then you had to figure out how to monetize, how to sell it on the back end. But this idea of print on demand actually was, as I said, revolutionary. Nothing like that existed in the marketplace. So it was truly just timing. It was the timing of it all, because I was able to tap into this training from Don Wilson, and he taught you the strategy of how to launch a t-shirt and sell it on Facebook. And it was the first time that I had created something that didn't necessarily involve me physically leaving my home, going to Home Depot, buying paint, managing contractors, trying to build a website, right? I didn't have to go through all of that. And I was able to make money. In fact, I was able to make money in my sleep. So affectionately, we call that sleep coin.
Yes.
And so that proved and solidified that I was onto something. It wasn't a lot of money. I wasn't about to, be able to quit my job and go get some Lambos and move to a whole nother country. But it was the validation of it that made me stay the course so that I could learn more and explore it and see if this was something that I truly was interested in. But that was the genesis of getting into e-commerce.
I love that. I love how you allowed yourself to learn again. That is something that has been revolutionary for me. I talk about it all the time, how even in my career, it's, it allows me to live the lifestyle that I have, but it wasn't fulfilling. It isn't as fulfilling as it could be. And like many of us, and I'm sure like you, we have our passion points, right? We have those things that we love to do, and we have those desires, those things that we want to be able to do, so that we can do whatever. Maybe it's expand our family, and the feeling that you get when you come home, and going from living paycheck to paycheck to now having an abundance. And so you talked about how you allowed yourself to learn something new. And I think it's amazing that you were able to learn from the best of the best. You took advantage of that cutting edge opportunity to get it from the source. I think that's really cool. So then what came next?
So there was a lot of ups and downs, right? That's the one thing about entrepreneurship. It's never a straight line to the goal or to your destination. It's always ebbs and flows, highs and lows, peaks and valleys. And so I definitely had my share of that. Because here's the thing, at the end of it all, I was given something to start with, but because it was new, it wasn't like there was an abundance of information and training available. So a lot of it was truly through trial and error. You had to roll up your sleeves and start testing and doing all sorts of things in order to yield profitable results. But for me, I considered it a way out. At the time, I was a data analyst for a media company in our local area, and I managed a team of 12 people, and I had a good salary, and things were going well, but I was unfulfilled. So to the point that you were making before, and I knew that I wanted to have a life where I didn't have to apologize for wanting to take time off to spend with my daughter. I didn't want to apologize or, as a grown woman, go ask somebody else if I could go on a field trip with my daughter.
Yes.
I didn't want to do that. And so I knew that, listen, I got to stay committed to this, because I did see what could really come of it at the end of the road, but I knew that there was a whole lot of stuff, in between. So follow the course. And, like I said, I was able to get some results. And in fact, I did very well. But then there were periods, where things slowed down or, ran into issues. And one of those issues that I'll talk about is, an issue that I had in my personal life that impacted my business. And for most people, this experience that I'm going to share with you could have silenced, it could have destroyed the average person. Okay. But for me, it propelled me to greater limits. So I had been doing well, inside of the business. I had been, making money. And I was married at the time, but we decided to end our marriage. And from that point on, I was in a very new circumstance, one that I had never experienced before. I'm now I'm divorced, or heading towards divorce, and I'm a single mom. Mm-hmm. And by this time, I've already quit my job because things were going well. I had a B plan, right? I had the support of a mate at the time, and so we're going through this, separation. And just to, make a long story short, we had some financial obligations together that had not been settled. Now, I'm going to tell your listeners this because, again, I keep it real, okay?
Keep it all the way real, yes.
and the people need to hear it, okay? The people need to hear it. One word of advice and caution, especially to women, but hey, I mean, the advice could be advantageous, for anybody. When you are in a situation, okay, marriage, relationship, an entanglement, whatever serves you, never be that person that takes on all of the responsibility financially, okay? Because what that does is it creates an opportunity for the other person to not have accountability to the situation, and they can just up and leave, wash their hands, and keep it pushing, right? So because I was the one in the relationship that had the credit, that had, the finances, I bore a lot of the responsibility. So you know what happened? Once the relationship ran its course and it was at its demise, I'm saddled with all of the debt and the responsibility. Meanwhile, the other person goes off and, they live in their best life. Right?
Can I interject real quick? Because that is so characteristic of so many women.
Yes.
Sometimes we feel, and I say we because I fell victim to this in prior relationships, we feel that we have to help our men along. There's even a school of thought that we're taught to help our men along. And I'm not sure where it comes from, but I know there's a school of thought that makes it okay. And even in the slightest way, but what that does, and my mom taught me this, she used to say things like, don't cripple your man by giving them everything. Because even though we have the capability to, sometimes we have to let our man figure it out, or let our man do what it is that he needs to do. And in doing so, you teach him, number one, that you're not always going to come to his rescue. Yes. And then number two, you got to pull it together. I can't tell you how many times in my marriage I have made that silent decision where I could have stepped in, but I said, you know what? I want to see what he's made of in this particular situation. And so that advice that you gave to make your mate, whoever that person is, and whatever dynamic the relationship is, make them accountable, that is gold. That is gold. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
And I'm to your point. I mean, I really wish that I would have learned that,
Yes.
because we come from a generation, and I feel, comfortable in saying this, where, at least for me, grandparents, you start to see how everyone caters and coddles, to men,
Mm-hmm.
and to their mates. And I get it. Like, I'm not anti-marriage. I ain't,
Right.
anti-marriage, stuff like that. But it's always this mindset of like doing everything you can, do everything to please your man and to keep your man. And so in the process, to the point that you were making, like, it can be crippling in some ways, when they don't feel the brunt. I remember a good friend of mine, I would talk to her sometimes about just some of the challenges that I was having in the marriage. And I'm like, I'm carrying all the weight, I'm paying these bills. And not that he wasn't a contributor, he was, but it's like, I had to keep all of this in my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to keep everything, organized so that the lights don't get cut off, so that we can come home and we can put the key in the door, right? We don't have no letters on it. Or the house, the car doesn't get repoed or whatever. Like, I'm having to juggle all of this. And then on top of that, I have wifely duties, right? So you
Yeah.
got to cook, got to clean. And so I remember my friend, she said to me, she said, just stop. Like, if the issue is that the clothes are piling up and you're busy, and he sees it, right? He sees that the clothes are there and he's not helping, just stop. Like, you don't do it, just let it pile up. At some point, he'll run out of socks, he'll run out of t-shirts, he'll run out of underwear, and then at some point he'll want to go wash the clothes. And it was
Right.
the advice, she was like, let the water get cut off, because the reality is sometimes it takes that extreme situation to happen, right, in
Mm-hmm.
order for them to understand the importance or the value, that you bring. And so I never forgot that. I was never bold enough to do it, right? Because my OCD just wouldn't allow for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely thought it was, pretty good advice.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially because sometimes we create these unspoken expectations in marriage, right? Where you don't even realize it, but you have this image of what marriage is supposed to be, what your husband is supposed to do, and what your wife is supposed to do. And it's those unspoken expectations that can be, I don't even know. They create little issues because if you don't speak on those things, you don't know what the other person is thinking.
Yeah.
And so it really can create an issue. And to your point, listen, whoever is listening, we are not anti-relationship.
Right.
We're just sharing
I
our,
love a good man, honey.
hello, me too, I love my husband to life. But it's those lessons, and even in that, we're talking about being intentional, as a woman, even of your household. There are things that, at some point, not at some point, at any point, you have the ability to negotiate certain tasks. If you're in a relationship with someone, that's exactly what it is, a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're on a journey together.
Yeah.
On that journey, you have relations. So that includes conversation, communication. If something is burdening you, don't leave it to stress you out, but
Mm-hmm.
instead have that conversation and let your significant other know, hey, this right here is stressing me out, and we need to fix it. And it should be no, you know it shouldn't be a real issue if you guys are truly in a relationship that you are working towards working for a long time.
Yeah.
So I love that accountability piece. And I feel like sometimes we're afraid to talk about it, and
Mm-hmm.
instead we'll fester it as women, and
Yep.
we be mad. And then it's
And
like,
meanwhile, they like, what's wrong with you?
right. Exactly. Like, why aren't you talking to me? Because, 20 minutes later, I'm still trying to just let you know that I don't want to do something anymore. Like, even the communication piece for us has to be more intentional.
Yeah.
We diverted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's okay. Continue. You were sharing. Um,
Oh, right. So basically, I had the brunt of the debt once, the other party left the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And just as fate would have it, it's Murphy's Law, right? you know, Something always goes wrong. This particular day, I was at the hairdresser. I was getting this real expensive hairstyle. It was a brand new stylist. She came as a referral, and everything was good. That morning, I got up. I was running a little late. I needed gas in the car, but I'm like, nope, I'm gonna wait because I'm trying to make up some time on the road. Get to the hairdresser. I'm good. I'm sitting in a chair, getting my hair done. And a friend of mine sends me a link to a book. And he says, hey, Audrey, you got to get this book. So I'm like, cool. $7 book. Okay. It was like a pay, just pay shipping. Get it free, just pay shipping. So it was like $7.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting in a chair, and I'll never forget this day. I'm on my phone, and I hit the link, fill in my details, throw in my credit card information, hit, buy now. And I got a message saying that my charge was declined. And I'm like, oh, hold on. Maybe I transposed the number. Let me go back because I know I got $7 in my account, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't pay attention. So let me do this again. Went through the process again. Same thing. And it's like, contact your bank, charge declined. And so I'm like, okay, hold on. Maybe let me just try this one more time. Third time's a charm. Maybe the Wi-Fi a little janky in here. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what it is. Okay. So I throw the numbers in again and the same thing. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, well, hold up. So I go over to my Bank of America app, good old Bank of America, and I log in to my banking, and I'm startled in sheer disbelief in what I see. I had like 3 or 4 accounts, and they all have 0 balances. Okay. Now, mind you, I told you I was doing pretty good selling t-shirts. So I had money, I had a decent amount of money. In fact, every account on my phone had zeros flying all across the screen. So, I'm like, okay, well, clearly this is a banking error. So I'm looking into all of these accounts, I'm like, well, what's going on? And basically I saw where the transaction, for the debit had been made, for each of these accounts. And there was a number or something, that was listed. And I'm paranoid because listen, I'm at this hairdresser, right? I'm sitting in a chair with this brand new lady that I don't even know. I don't have any relationship with, and I have no money. Okay. But then on top of that, because I'm a mom, and I'm a mom first, I immediately start thinking I have to go pick Morgan up from school when I leave here. Remember, I told you I was running late, and I needed gas. I didn't stop. So I need gas to go get her. And then you know how all kids are. You go pick them up from school.
They hungry.
Okay. Like they didn't just eat lunch in school. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta, I'm gonna have to feed her. Okay. So I get on the phone and I text my aunt. And my aunt is, I always say nothing is real until I talk to her. Okay. She's been a real pillar of support in so many aspects of my life, and I'm forever grateful. And so whenever something good or bad is going on, honey, she's on speed dial. So I call her up and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. All of my accounts are zeroed out, whatever. And so she's like, okay, calm down. We'll get to the bottom of it. She's like, there has to be a number. So let's figure this out. She said, call Bank of America, get them on the horn, and let's see what they say. So we call Bank of America. And of course, they don't have any information. All they know is that someone basically put a lien on my bank account, right? And they're like, but this is the number that we have, so you should call and figure it out. So I contact the number, and lo and behold, it's definitely a lien through the state of Maryland. It was a law office that had requested this lien be made on my accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially they said, listen, you have an outstanding debt. You owe American Express. And it was some crazy amount of money that we owed them. And they're like, yeah, so we're levying your account to make good on some of the debt that you owe. And basically you need to be letting us know when you sending the rest of the money.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah, so that was it, right? I didn't have the money. Like what I had, you already took, and
Mm-hmm.
basically, I have nothing else at this point. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was a real humbling experience, but one that frightened the heck out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got on the phone, I called my aunt back, and I explained to her the situation, and she said, "Oh, you won't see that money again." So she said, let me give me the information for your stylist. I'll pay her. Just get here. Okay. Just get here and we'll put our heads together and figure it out. So en route, she's about 45 minutes from the hairdresser. En route, I'm panicking. And all I'm thinking about is I'm newly separated. I don't have a B plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have this child to raise.
Right.
And it was a frightening moment because all I knew was that I didn't have anything.
Mm.
And I was so afraid that I was going to be a complete failure to her and that I could not offer her the things that she needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember as I was driving, I said, listen, God takes care of children and crazy people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be okay because I can figure it out. But somebody's gonna make a way for her,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm legit out here, really thinking this way because it's a state of shock to your system, and you begin to panic, and you forget that. Listen, you made the money. you forget all of that.
Right.
And so I just remember being so saddled with emotion. And the biggest emotion was, fear of not being able to fulfill my responsibility as a mom. So
Mm-hmm.
I get to my aunt's house and she's like, okay, listen, we gotta, figure this thing out. And I'm just, I'm sobbing, I'm just so discouraged and, woe is me. And I'm really like throwing it on heavy. Because now it's all the bad things that have ever happened in my life.
Right.
Right now, I gotta play it back. And so she sat there and she watched me and she consoled me for about 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, enough already. She's like, we're done. Okay, that's enough. Have you gotten it out of your system? Okay, great. You forget that the money that you had in the account is money that you earned. You made it, right? So what I'm going to need you to do is become equal to this obstacle that you are now being faced with. And I'm going to need you to replicate and do whatever you did to earn the money. I'm going to need you to run that back. Run that back, right?
Run that back.
Run it back. And so I'm like, you're right. I almost forgot about that.
Yes.
Right? But I'm like, listen, I don't have no money. I don't have no money. She was like, look, I don't have a lot, but here's what I'm willing to do. And this just speaks to the power of having good people in your corner, right? Because I'm definitely that person. I'm not going to ask for help. I'll be out on the street, on the corner before I'm going to ask somebody for some help, okay? Mm-hmm. I had friends, who were like offering me their credit cards. They were like, look, I won't pay my rent this month. But I'm like, no. My aunt said, listen, here's what I'll do. I'm going to pull out $1,000 from my 401k. Okay. We're not even talking a savings account because she's like, I ain't got it in the savings. Okay. Because, got savings in checking and ain't nothing in either. Okay. But I'm going to pull $1,000 out of my 401k. I should have it in like 1 to 2 days and it's yours. Okay. And I need you to hit the ground running. So I'm like, all right. I know that, at the end of the day, we can get some food because, we got a big family. Ain't nobody gonna see us go hungry. So at least for 1 or 2 days, I'm good. She gave me a credit card and was like, go get some gas and then do your thing. And so that was really the only pep talk or motivation that I needed. So literally, this all happened. This transpired in the month of November. Okay, so take note of the time period. This happened in the month of November. I took that $1,000 and I did what I knew to do, which was invested in Facebook and sell these print on demand items. Okay. And then in the month of December, I made $50,000 net profit. Okay. I'm not talking about gross. We talking net profit. I was able to take that $1,000 and flip it. Now, like I said, I wanted you to take note of the time period, right? We were in that November, December, which was, right, exactly, Q4. It's the season for buying. Everybody's buying things for people that they love and the people that they don't like and all of that, okay? So it was the perfect storm, okay? So even in a period of, feeling abandoned, feeling distraught, feeling weak, feeling hopeless, it really wasn't, because on the other side of it was an opportunity, right? It was an opportunity. Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, so where I was thinking that I was forsaken, I really wasn't. It was an opportunity to show the quality of my faith. And so I was good. That gave me, it gave me what I needed to get back on my feet. But it also gave me the reassurance and the confidence that I could do anything. I could do anything. And so I was no longer shackled by fear or, an inability to perform or inadequacy, right? I was no longer shackled by those sentiments. And I knew that if I could do this, I could do it again and again and again. So this is why I stuck with e-commerce. It was the only thing that I had in my darkest moment that got me to the other side.
Hey, intentional people, I had to interrupt the show to tell you about a resource that I know we can all benefit from. As go getters and goal getters, sometimes we get stuck, we get hindered, and we find ourselves needing help in one area or another. I know personally, I lived for many years hindered by the opinions of others, which led to many insecurities and setbacks. It took more than prayer to get me out of the funk that I was in. What helped so much was talking to a licensed therapist who helped me get to the root of my issues so that I could build myself back up to see myself as God sees me. I began seeing a therapist on a consistent basis and it changed my life. This is why I'm so excited to tell you about BetterHelp.com. It is a secure, online professional counseling service that is available for clients worldwide. Let me tell you about 4 things I absolutely love about this service. First, there is a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's counselor network that may not be locally available in many areas. You can log on to your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You get timely and thoughtful responses, plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so that you never have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room like with traditional therapy. BetterHelp.com is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. Progress on Purpose podcast listeners get a special discount of 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/POP, which helps save more money off of this amazing service. Visit betterhelp.com/POP to start a conversation today. You never know. It may be the most important conversation of your life. That's betterhelp.com/POP. BetterHelp.com/POP. Let's get back to the show. Audrey, that is such a powerful story. Such a powerful story. A lot of times we don't see it that way. We don't see that storm that you described as the perfect storm. We don't see it as an opportunity. We see it as a slap in the face. We see it as, an opportunity to throw a pity party.
Right.
And so I love the fact that your aunt was like, she was wise enough, so wise, to say, okay, you done?
Yeah.
Here's this money and go flip that. Don't forget what you were able to do before. Like, do that again. Because you, and that's the thing about us. I firmly, firmly believe that we have everything that we need inside of us already to fulfill the vision, right? And whatever that is, I'm a firm believer of that. Like, I love that you didn't take that opportunity to wallow in your woes and be sad and even to the point of the motherhood piece. Like, what you did in that moment was not just fight for Audrey, but you fought for your legacy. And I love how you said, like, I make no apologies about what I'm doing because it's building my legacy. I have a question for you. What is some advice that you would give to another woman who is desiring to leave a legacy for their family, but maybe they have significant responsibilities or a significant other that may not be on the same page or even as supportive? What would you tell them?
I think for me, and I could only speak from my experience, I knew that living with failure would be easier to swallow than living with regret.
Mm.
And I think a lot of times for us as women, especially Black women, and we're going to talk about it because we find ourselves in these positions of putting everyone and everything ahead of us, right?
Yes.
We want to pursue our goals, dreams, aspirations after we pay for children's tuition for college, after our husband retires, after, you name it, right? Insert whatever. So we deny ourselves a lot of the things that we desire and the things that we deserve on account of waiting for a perfect opportunity. And you and I know, well, that there is no perfect opportunity. The perfect opportunity is now.
Today.
And I say it now because tomorrow is no guarantee.
Yes.
Right? Tomorrow's no guarantee. And so the thing that I always, and I'm extremely adamant about it, particularly with us as Black women, is it's the power of now. Okay, do not delay and put off something that you can do today. And the reality is today the barrier of entry is so much lower, right? The playing field is so much more leveled than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 50 years ago even, right? The ability to create a business that can not only feed you, your family, but children that don't even exist, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, right? All of this is within our ability. It's at our fingertips.
Yes.
So I know that, we live with all kinds of excuses. We live with trepidation and fear, and it takes us on this, precipitous slope. But at the end of the day, I'd rather struggle. I'd rather, fight my way to the top than to live in a space of what if I had only.
Yes.
Right. And so don't count yourself out. I remember when I decided to quit my job, a good relative, my uncle told me, because I was nervous, I was afraid, I was scared. It was the first time in my adult life that I didn't have the security of a 9-to-5. And he said to me, he said, Audrey, what's the worst that could happen? You're betting on yourself, right? What's the worst that could happen? And I'm like, well, I don't make no money and I got to go back to work. He was like, right. Like, truly, that's the worst that could happen.
Yes.
But guess what? You're not out here trying to build a career for someone else. You just need to be able to make money. You could do anything to make money. He said, but what if it does work? you're only looking at the negative, right? The possibility that it won't work, but what if it does?
Yes.
And so that to me is what I hope to infuse and invoke into people that I come into contact with. Don't look at it as, as if you won't make it or you can't succeed. What if it does work?
Yes. Yes. What if it does work? And I know one of the things that I was battling, and you've even helped me to overcome. Like, you literally, I don't know if you realize it. I'm telling you, I may be telling you this for the first time, but you've coached me out of the fear of success.
Mm.
Because here's the thing, we are so creative, and in that same brain we're also so critical. And so we'll
Yeah.
create the perfect environment for our family, right? When they come home, there's food, there's this, there's that. We'll create the environment even at our workplace where, there's people want to be around us and we're pleasant. Like, we're very creative. um but at the same time we're so critical, and we, if we're not careful, can create a mindset where we are afraid to be successful, and afraid to be successful sometimes in an area that we're not comfortable in. So, like, we stay in that little box of comfortability because we know it has already worked. And even for you, like you said, you are a data analyst, and you decided to learn something different and step out of that comfort zone. And you said the worst thing that could happen was that, hey, I don't make any money and I go back. But that little, not little, that transition over the hump out of the data analyst into the e-commerce world is such a huge jump. Or any world, that transition is such a huge jump. So many of us get stuck in that fear of success. Like, what if it does work? Then what? I know for me, it was like, okay, then what? And one of the things that I had to realize about myself, and you helped me to realize that, is that my pursuit of my dreams, first of all, I can't ignore them. I literally can't. And here's the thing: a lot of us have dreams, have things that are on our mind that we simply cannot ignore. Like, you could try to work your way
Mm-hmm.
out of ignoring it, but it's not going to work. You cannot ignore. If God has put something inside of you, you have to push that out.
Yep.
And if you don't, you are doing yourself a disservice, and not only you but your family. And I believe that is one source of bitterness for so many of us, so many women, because we live in that after effect. We live in that after effect. Okay, I'll get to it later. I'll
Mm-hmm.
do it once I put the kids through college. I'll do it once, da 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 da. And our time never realizes or actualizes, and then we're bitter.
Yep.
Then bitterness, believe it or not, leads to physical ailments in your body.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you don't know where these pains are coming from at the age of, 55 or whatever. But we don't
Or
realize,
38.
or 38, right? But we don't realize we've called those things upon us by not doing the foreword, which is going after, finding a way to go after this and that. See, hold up. Can we talk about it?
Yes.
We can live in a space where it's and, not or,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
right? Like, it's time for us as
Yes.
women to really live in that space where we don't have to choose. We're
Yes.
no longer in that time period where we are boggled down, where we can't do such and such because we're a woman. The Like you
Yes.
said, the barrier of entry is low,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's why I wanted to talk to you, because you have made such, like, such moves in that white male dominated space, where now you have created a footprint for women like me, um, to come in behind you and learn the skill and be able to amass wealth for my family, sleep coin, so I don't have to be working, driving myself crazy, but I could live the end life, go on vacation and make money at the same
Yeah.
time. You know what I'm saying? Like that alone, that sold me, you know? And for anybody who is listening, what I want you to do, Audrey, is let us know how we can learn more about the things that you teach and how we can learn more about how to work with you. Because here's the thing, many of us desire freedom. And we desire to live a legacy. I can't tell you how many women I know personally, all we talk about is leaving a legacy. And we are struggling to make the connection. Okay, I know I have these things that I want to do. I know I have these dreams. I know I have these goals. I know I have this idea. But how do I get it out of my head and into a place where it can eventually make wealth for me so that I can live that in life and without apology, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the other piece. I wish we had time to discuss it. I'm gonna say it. You could throw it back to me and we're gonna be done with it. But here's the other thing. We find a need as women to be apologetic about being successful.
Yes.
We feel like we have to apologize.
Seminar light, you say?
Say it one more time.
Yes. Seminar light. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Like, how did you overcome that?
Let me tell you, it's not an easy task. Okay. And I'm just, we just gonna call a thing a thing. It requires a lot of work, right? Because let's talk about this.
What kind of work too? Tell us what kind of work.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a lot of personal development, intrinsic work. It's a lot of having those hard conversations, having those honest conversations, even digging up things from our past that we have not necessarily been able to move through, right? Because sometimes these are blocks around money. I grew up in a space and place where we didn't have money. My mom was a single mom, and all I ever saw was, she worked 2 or 3 jobs. My grandmother worked 2 or 3 jobs. And so you almost feel like, well, that's the norm,
Right.
the norm. And so when I got into a position where I said, I don't want to carry that part, I mean, there's things that you learn and you appreciate, but that's just not one of the things that I want to carry on into my life. And so there's a lot of intrinsic work around having those money talks and being okay with attracting money. And not that your attraction of money has to make you different. Because I think that was the piece. When I would see people that had money, it was like they were completely different than who you knew them to be, right? And so I even struggled with understanding, and to your point about the and thing, like I can be who I am. I can be unapologetic. I could be, bougie. I could be, like whatever it is, and have money.
Yeah.
Right? I could be a person that's, at the end of the day, yeah, I'm a hit Chick-fil-A, but I'm a hit Ruth's Chris too. Like, and it's okay, right? It's not a bad thing. And so I had to do a lot of work. And I'm grateful that I did, because now it's allowed me to embrace attracting money.
Yes.
Okay. And I think, I think we had this conversation before, that we're taught, sometimes we grow up, learning to be humble. And humility essentially is considering yourself lesser, right? And so that spirit permeates in a lot of things that we do,
right,
when you're a humble person. In business, right? That same spirit of considering yourself lesser, it will permeate and impact that space too. And so that is why we feel like we got to set ourselves on fire to keep other people warm, while we got to dim our lights, right? While we have to settle. We can't be bold and audacious, because it might make someone else uncomfortable, right? And so we never want to be that person. So we teeter, along the edge, and we don't really accept and step into our greatness. But listen, the talents that you have, they're from God, right?
Yes.
These are God-given talents. And so if you do anything contrary, you're showing yourself ungrateful and unappreciative, right? That's how we look at it. And so I came to the realization that you could still be a person that has compassion, that has respect, that has a desire to help someone else, right? That's what amassing wealth is all about, right? It gives you access. We know we can't take money with us, right?
Right.
When we leave this earth, it ain't going with us. But while we're here, it gives us access. And so I came to the realization very early that if I was going to help penetrate or affect my family, that my family name, my family legacy, like I had to be in a position where I could make money and I could control how much money I made. A 9 to 5 was not going to do it.
Right.
Getting $1 raise a year for all the slaving that I was doing wasn't going to cut it.
Never.
Right? It was never going to cut it. So I'm all over the place, but I think, the summary of it all is, just being okay, doing the work so that you can have a proper view of money, right? Because money doesn't define you, doesn't,
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, you are who you are. It should add to who you are, but it shouldn't, embody you. And so once you have that understanding and you have a proper view of it, then you're in a position where you can receive and you can attract it. And if you keep the right mental disposition, which is, creating a life that you have freedom, a life that you don't need to, take time off from, right? I wake up every day with intention and purpose. I have a life that I don't need to vacation from, right? Like I don't gotta take off. I'll be on the grind like all day,
Yes.
how it is, right? Because it's you love it, you enjoy it, it's rewarding. So I think the biggest piece is though, just getting the conversation right in your head around money and what it can do for you in an impactful way. And once you understand that, then you recognize that the onus is on you, right? So you'd be doing yourself and your family a disservice to not be out here working and walking in your purpose.
I love that. Listen, on this show today, we got a relationship lesson. We got a money lesson. Y'all got a free coaching session. Okay. I mean, all of that. So you make sure that you do not keep this episode to yourself, but you hit that share button and you send it to someone who needs to hear it. And don't tell them they need to hear it because that ain't right. Just send it to them and say, hey, listen to this. This was a great conversation. Audrey, please, please, please tell us how we can find you. Let us know about any products or services that you have, how we can find you on social media. And hey, if you have any discounts that you want to share with the listeners so that, if you have a program and you want to create a code for our listeners, that's fine too. I'll link all of the information that you share in the show notes. So guys, please be sure to check that.
Okay, cool. You can find me on Instagram. I mostly hang out there at Mogul Mompreneur.
Because you are a mogul.
Hey, listen, I figure if you speak it into existence, it can become your reality, right?
Yes.
So there we are. So Mogul Mompreneur is where you can find me. And if you are desirous of building an e-commerce business, you're looking to, get more visibility, get more traction to your business, you definitely shoot me a DM. We can work together. We can put some things together. I do have a mastermind. Michelle's definitely part of it.
So guys, if you use the code PROGRESS at broketobrand.com, Audrey is kind enough to give you 25% off of the mastermind.
Any product or service.
Whoa.
Because homie, any product or service, 25% off. That's what.
Listen, y'all ever went to Popeyes and you order something and then they throw in something extra in the bag for you? That's what just happened. Like you got some major value in that discount. So please make sure you take advantage of that. Listen, I jumped onto Instagram one day, saw Mogul Mompreneur, and her spirit, her drive, her honesty, her realness, it all connected with me. And so I decided to connect with her. I started with her free products and I went from her free products to her paid products. And I I promise you, I have not regretted 1 cent of what I have spent. I've learned so much. It's changed me, it's challenged me, and it's made me all the better. And I know you already see the results of it, okay?
Yes.
So listen, please, please, please connect with Mogul Mompreneur. I'll be sure to link all of the information below. But Audrey, I do want to say thank you again and again and again for joining us today on the Progress on Purpose podcast. Your words are gold. Your experience has helped us to be better and to live intentionally and to make progress on purpose. And so we appreciate you here in the Pop family. We look forward to continuing to grow with you. So when you see us and we show up in your DMs, be like, oh, hey, you Michelle, I know who you are. All right.
Yes.
So yes, we're going to continue to do that. But guys, that is it. Please make sure that you tune in to the next episode of Progress on Purpose podcast. We are in the season of She's Intentional, and I can't wait to introduce you to next week's guest. Guys, take care. Love you.